Okay.
Yes, yes.
Screen is visible?
Yes, yes.
Yes. So after this examination, we can go for laboratory investigation. Most of times we are reluctant to do the laboratory investigation. But in case of reptile also, we have to go for the laboratory investigation because most of times respiratory diseases are manifestation of the septicemia. That is not a single entity or isolated entity. So what are the things which can be done in reptile? We can go for packed cell volume, total protein, and blood smear. This will give very wealth information for us for coming to the proper diagnosis. Then we can go for fecal examination. Most of times they will suffer from the parasitic burden. Once there is parasitic burden, there will be immunosuppression and they may be secondary bacterial infection or they can susceptible for any kind of infection. We can go for radiography, culture and sensitivity also. So this is the thing, but how to collect blood? While doing this laboratory investigation, how to collect the blood in reptiles or snakes or any kind of animal. So first thing is that which anticoagulant should be used in reptiles. Most of times we know only EDTA, but in case of reptiles, mostly preferably in chelonians, this EDTA will cause the hemolysis of the RBCs. So that is not a suitable choice of the anticoagulant. So better way we can go for lithium heparin, sodium heparin, and ammonium heparin. These are the anticoagulants of the choice in case of reptiles. So again, one thing is there in one interview there was a question: what is the color of reptiles' blood? So here you can appreciate the color, but most of times that is the red only. All bloods are red only, but in reptiles you may find the blue because that is not a blood. Actually, that is the lymph dilution. In reptiles, lymph nodes are absent, but lymphatic vasculature is highly developed than the venous vasculature. So whenever we are pricking 10 times, out of 10 times, one time you will get the blood. So this lymph dilution is very common. So that's why color of blood is like a bluish, but actually color is only red. So before going detail for the blood hematology and cardiovascular system of the reptile, let us have some highlight with regard to the blood circulation in reptiles. What is the speciality of the blood circulation in reptiles? All reptiles they have three chambered heart, except crocodile. Crocodile they have four chambered heart. With this three chambered heart, how they are doing their work? Because there is oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. So with single ventricle and two atrium, how they are working with them or how they are managing with them? Is there any mixing of this blood or no mixing? How it works? Let us see. This is the advantage of intracardiac stenting. There is always mixing of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood based on the situation. What is the advantage of this? There is the ability to breathe hold during diving or inside the cell. Sometimes you may find the crocodile or snake, they are getting into the water for longer time. That is one kind of adaptation to avoid the predation or avoid the save from the predator, from the predation. Then another thing is that thermoregulation. It will help in thermoregulation. And second thing is third, stabilization of oxygen during intermittent breathing. So this point is very important while using the gaseous anesthesia in reptiles. If you are giving gaseous anesthesia using, and if that animal withholds the breath, then you cannot judge whether anesthesia is proper or improper, or there is a difficulty while giving the gaseous anesthesia due to this adaptation. So let us see the blood circulation in the reptiles. Consider three-chambered heart. It is called as double circulation. Suppose this is the body of the reptile and this is the lungs and this is the heart. You can see the right atrium, left atrium and one ventricle. So now this oxygenated blood from the lungs to the left atrium. From left atrium it will go to the ventricle. From ventricle oxygenated blood will go to the body. So now after metabolism, this deoxygenated blood will return back to the heart into the right atrium. And from right atrium again it will go to the ventricle, and from ventricle again it will go to the lungs for getting oxygen. So same blood passing twice from the single ventricle, so it is called as double circulation. Now let us see there is how it manages single ventricle. This single ventricle will act as a double ventricle without mixing the blood oxygenated and deoxygenated. How it works? Let us see in next slide. See, this is the heart. One is systemic circulation, one is pulmonary circulation. Suppose first two chambers, right atrium, left atrium. These are atrium, two atrium, and downward three chambers. These are the ventricles. See the sequence of blood from right atrium to the cavum venosus. Immediately after that, from left atrium, blood will come to the cavum arteriosus. Then from water the blood which was already present in the cavum pulmonale, it will go to the pulmonary circulation. And then from after formation, this cavum venosus blood will come down, and that blood from the cavum arteriosus that will come to the cavum venosus, and then blood will go to the systemic circulation. Means this how it works like two chamber is a systemic timing of contraction and series of ridges. Muscular ridges are present in one ventricle. Muscular ridges and timing of contraction will act as a two ventricle. Like this, they will function. But what is the role? Whenever there is sometimes animal is diving, and once that animal is diving, it will not take the oxygen. So whatever oxygen present, with that they have to run the business and save the life. So what happens? Like a crocodile or any kind of in crocodile mostly, it is not there. The slide is not there. In crocodile, they have four-chambered heart. But in that four-chambered heart, there is one foramen of Panizza. So that will act, that will help to the transfer of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. So once that is based on the temperature, that is based on the pressure gradient into the left ventricle. Suppose normal animal is breathing on the surface, that time left ventricle pressure is always greater than the right ventricle. So there will not be opening of the foramen. So when that animal enters into the water, that time he will not take the oxygen, and he will not take the oxygen, and whatever the oxygen present in the lung, that will cause resistance of the blood coming from the right ventricle to the lung. So automatically there will be increased pressure in the right ventricle, and that increased pressure in right ventricle will cause opening of the foramen, and that deoxygenated blood will go to the posterior aorta, and that will, and oxygenated blood will go to the brain. So in that way they will manage the blood circulation, peripheral blood circulation, and anaerobic metabolism that can help to the animal to be inside the water for almost 5 to 6 hours. Like that they will manage, and that is the advantage of this circulation. Now back to the etiology. Now we have collected the blood, we have done hematology and all those things. But if you are any patient once comes, we can think of this etiology. First thing is low temperature and humidity, high temperature and humidity, then hypovitaminosis A or C, because there are some, this will influence on this immune system of the animal. Once the immunity is lowered, it can be suffered from any kind of illness. There are some viral infection, bacterial, fungal, parasitic also. So this low temperature or high temperature, there is for all reptiles, there is one preferred optimum temperature zone. So within that zone, they will be all right. Once the temperature goes below that temperature zone or above that temperature zone, they will suffer from the illness. So what are the treatment options? First thing is that stabilizing the environment. 99% problems will be solved once you manage the environmental temperature or that temperature and humidity of particular case. Then diet. We have to supply the proper diet. Then control and management of the parasite. Most of the parasite captive animals, they are suffering from the parasitic burden, because in wild animal concentration of parasite is very less, and in captivity space is constant. So space is constant, so parasitic burden will be more. So there will always be one kind of stress due to the parasite. Then nebulization. Nebulization can be effective therapy in reptiles. We can give for 3-4 times in a day for 20 to 30 minutes. And then antibiotic therapy. After that, if the infection, then we have to give for systemic antibiotic and local antibiotic. So what are the antibiotics which are proven in reptiles? that I have enlisted in this table, that is amikacin, enrofloxacin, ceftazidime, tobramycin, tylosin, oxytetracycline, and doxycycline. These are the antibiotics with different doses and remarks I have mentioned. So these things we can use in our routine practice. So hypovitaminaceous A, most of times these conditions are more prevalent in young aquatic turtles rather than the tortoises which are found on the land, and young animals will suffer morely, because the reason is that there are terrapin species inefficiently convert beta carotene to the retinol, and therefore we have to continuously supply the vitamin A through the diet. Then what are the clinical signs? That is anorexia, poor growth, edema of the eye, oral abscess, and squamous metaplasia and hyperkeratosis of the epithelium. Sometimes we can find all the ear and eyes are swollen and looks like a fused eye. So these things commonly observed in red-haired slider turtle that can be presented to our clinic. So these can be considered for the vitamin A deficiency. So what is the diagnosis? Diagnosis is based on the clinical signs, dietary history, and response to the treatment. How animal is responding to the treatment. Then, other than this, how we can judge the vitamin level in the animal or that turtle? That is based on the plasma retinol value, because we cannot evaluate the vitamin A level, but most properly we can go for the retinol value. Based on that, we can judge the vitamin level A level in the body. So treatment, there are two kinds of that is storage that cannot be stored for more time, more duration in the liver. But this fat soluble vitamin A is preferred and should be used in the treatment. So dose is given 500 to 5,000 international unit per kg body weight subcutaneously for 1 or 2 occasions. For every 14 days, we have to repeat for 1 or 2 times. That animal will take 3 to 4 weeks to recover. So, but this is based on the actually how much, whether it is the case of hypovitaminaceous A or other infection, that we have to think of. And once you give the injection, based on the improvement, we can judge it properly. Then antibiotics, we can give some topical antibiotics for eyes and systemic antibiotics. If there is a respiratory tract infection, we can go for systemic antibiotics. Then for all animals, for checking the environmental temperature and maintain the normal temperature, we have to give the warm water soak, 24 to 27 degrees Celsius warm water. Keep that animal for 1 hour evening, 1 hour morning. So that is the best therapy for rehydration also, and that will improve the immunity of the animal. Another thing is that in case of pneumonia or any kind of respiratory tract infection, what is this intracardiac shunt? Actually, blood should flow towards the lungs, but due to this intracardiac shunting mechanism, in case of pneumonia, the blood instead of flowing to the lung, that is diverted away from the lung. That is one of the challenging tasks to make the delaying recovery in the reptiles. So that we have to consider. Then we can add some diet which is rich in vitamin A, like dark leafy greens, yellow or orange colored vegetables and fruits to get the recovery of this vitamin A. So in whatever the market preparations are there that are based on the mammalian deficiencies, which is mostly toxic dose to the reptiles. So next is hypervitaminosis A. Most of times, any kind of symptoms are there, simply we will give the vitamin A treatment, vitamin A injection. But sometimes it will cause the toxicity. So what are the available commercial market preparation? I told you that contains 5 to 10 lakhs international unit per ml, and we need very less dose in the reptiles. If it is diagnosed properly with the hypovitaminosis, then we can go for 2,000 international unit per kg subcutaneously. Otherwise, we should give 200 to 300 international unit per kg body weight to avoid this hypervitaminosis A. If it is hypervitaminosis, what are the clinical signs? That are, first sign is xeroderma, then blisters on the neck and leg, because if you are giving sudden dose of vitamin A, that cannot be stored and metabolized in the liver. So that will cause the toxicity, and symptoms will be like burning sensation. So treatment includes similar to severe burn. Give some crystalloid fluid therapy, so that will help in hypervitaminosis, and it will take 3 to 4 months to recover in case of hypervitaminosis A. This is capture and immobilization. Capture and immobilization. By this method, we have recognition in the forest department. Forest department will be calling us during this emergency, capture and immobilization of any problematic animal. But this is more scientifically called as, this is a technique which involves art as well as science. Because along with, we should know the, along with we should have some experience and expertise in handling and capturing the animals, along with their anatomical and physiological differences of the animal to be captured. Those, suppose we have to tranquilize elephant, we should know his anatomy and physiology, because if the animal is tranquilized and if it is sitting in sterile position, after 25 minutes or 30 minutes, animal will collapse, because elephants are lacking pleural space. They don't have any pleural space in the thoracic cavity, so they will die due to suffocation. So immediately that should be turned to the lateral sternal recumbency, or lateral recumbency. Like that, we should know the behavior and anatomical variation of the animal. Then, as usual, drugs should have ideal qualities like high therapeutic index, safety, cheaply available, readily available, low dose, but such things does not exist. So whatever things available with us, we have to adapt that system, acclimatize to that particular situation. So there is no such things as a safe anesthetic or safe anesthetic procedure. So just a safe anesthetic. That is a sentence said by the Robert Smith. So basic thumb rule while treating any case of wild animal, basic thumb rule is slow is fast. If you are doing hurry burry and if you want to go to the home, finishing the operation immediately, fastly, quickly, and you have to go for the home, you will get into the trouble, and that work will be getting delayed. So always remember, while working with any kind of wild animal, domestic or wild animal, always remember slow is fast. I say for example, this is the buffalo. If you are putting IV, if you want to go to home or in your native place that day, so many cases will be there, and we are always in hurry worry to finish our work, and that time the animal will not cooperate. So do it calmly and perfectly to finish your work quickly. So free range versus captive anesthesia, if you grossly think a wild animal, they need more dose of the anesthesia as compared to the captive condition. There are some points which are difficult in monitoring for free range, but more easier monitor to situation of the animal in case of captive condition. Then while going for the capturing, we should know the basic anatomy, anesthesia, and physiology. Stress is the main factor, rather than it is always said that treatment is better, very worse than the actual illness. So while capturing the animal, it should not be very dangerous way. We can politely or quietly, we have to capture the animal to reduce the stress, because once animal is stressed, that will lead into the capture myopathy, and capture myopathy is more observed in primates, crocodiles, birds which have long legs. They are more prone for capture myopathy. Then positioning of animal. I said sternal recumbency more than 25 minutes is not recommended in elephant, and elephant lacks pleural space. Then physiological adaptation. If you are giving any anesthetic, gaseous anesthesia for the reptiles, we know they have diving reflexes. They can withhold the breath for longer time. Then anesthetic dose regimen. Always remember, we should not mug up the dose rate for wild animals. Always reset your mind to the zero and then go for, actually after deciding the operation, you can get the references and go through the dose rate. We should not mug up and remember the dose rate. And what is the ideal anesthetic for us? Those drugs which we are more familiar with, that those can be used safely. We should not copy others. These are the dose rate for different animals. So now stress management in captivity. See, all wild animals, those are kept in captivity, they are always some kind of stress, physiological or physical stress, because that is unnatural environment for them, and they are totally depend on us for feeding and watering. So they are not happy, because for happiness, if we cannot sit 10 hours in one place, and we are keeping those animals throughout the years and years in the same place. So that is the real stress. So what is the stress? Any capture, handling, or any unknown environment that leads to the stress. And once the animal is stressed, it will require more energy. So more energy is consumed, and all other functions they will be hampered. So if that stress is continued for a long time, that becomes a distress. And once animal goes into distress, there is a ultimately death. So stress is good for health, not distress. So whenever any kind of stress, there will be increase in the cortisol level in the blood. Adrenal cortex will be activated, and that cortisol will cause the immune suppression. Once the immune suppression, animal is susceptible for all kind of diseases. So how to avoid the stress? So we have to maintain the as natural as possible. Give some like see playful environment. So that reduces the stress. Another one figure left side, that is the stress. It is the she is female and saying limit, be in limit, don't keep the social distance. So environmental interest, that case that is usually in the captive condition to avoid the boredom activities and to reduce the stress. Give some in while feeding also, rather than giving offering simply food, put in some tube or some plant. So they should search and eat. So that is maintaining their natural instinct. Like if you're feeding for tiger, don't offer as such, keep some urinals or some spray some urine, cattle urine or like that. Maintain their natural habitat as possible as. That is impossible, but try to maintain it to reduce the stress. So parasite, what about the parasite? Reptiles in wild do not visit their veterinarians for routine deworming. So why it is necessary to put them in captivity? The reason is that captivity space is constant, so parasitic burden is more. In free range, space is more, so parasitic concentration is low, so that they can cope up with that. So they will adapt. So these are the parasites identified in the pythons. So I used their deworming. I used ivermectin oral solution as well as neem leaves aqueous extract and methanolic extract. This was my study project during my master's. That is the one skill to intubate the stomach tube into the snake, because epiglottis will be there, glottis will be there. So how to identify these? Because that is very interesting to handle these animals and treat them. Then ecdysis. This is improper ecdysis, that is due to the improper humidity and temperature. So whenever there is in one lump sum that cell should be ecdysis should happen, but if it is not happening like that, then there is a problem in managemental issue. Then ticks, we can see the ornamental ticks in the python. See, very colorful. Again, there is a male-female differentiation. Female Aponema cerevisiae, only 3 heart-shaped scuticles with 3 spots. If it is a male, it having the centrifugal 5 patches, colorful patches. Based on that design, we can identify grossly male and female. See this severe rat snake having severely infested with the ticks. So what is the thing? What is the drug of choice for the ticks in reptiles? We can use fipronil or oral high-tech solution, ivermectin solution, that will cause that will reduce this internal and external parasites. Then surgical removal of abscess in python. See, this is very interesting to treat this and give the anesthesia. If you are having AC theater and if you are bringing the reptile for surgery, it will not work because there is a sudden change in the temperature. So if you are injecting any kind of anesthesia, their temperature should be at higher level. Optimum temperature zone, suppose 25 to 30 degrees Celsius is the preferred optimum temperature. Always maintain the temperature at higher level to properly metabolize the drug into the body. Then what is the drug of anesthetic drug used in reptile? Mostly ketamine is used 5 to 100 mg per kg body weight. That is the very variation. So I used only 15 mg per kg body weight, and that worked. Along with we use tramadol and gaseous anesthesia was not there. With this ketamine and tramadol, I used to use this operated this abscess formation. Again, one more thing, how to judge the depth of the anesthesia in reptile. In animal, we can very well judge by keeping touching the palpebral reflexes, but in reptile, we cannot do like that. So in reptile, based on the tonicity of jaws and cloaca and response to the pinch or pain to the blade while doing taking incision, that based on these things we can judge the depth of anesthesia. Again, one thing is that reptile skin is having tendency to invert. If you take the incision, immediately that the serpentine skin will be inverted. While taking the sutures, we have to take care of this, consider these things, and we can take the more everting type of sutures like mattress sutures. Again, one more thing, this abscess, reptile abscess is not like a mammalian abscess. Mammalian abscess is a liquid pus, but in case of reptile, they have insufficiented, which is solid pus. They have solid pus because they lack lactic enzymes, and their mechanism of inflammation is done by heterophils and not neutrophils. So instead of neutrophils, they have heterophils. This is abscess, very common problem due to the managemental problems. Then echocardiography of pythons, we can just very well appreciate the blood flow and heart rate in the reptiles. Then once if you go on holidays, they used to allow animals to come out. Once they come out, they immediately they will urinate, defecate, and that is a sign of relaxation. So we can identify the sick reptiles also because they will not move. So that is one of the best method to see the sick and healthy reptiles. We have to leave them out. Then the egg-bound condition in python, that is also due to deficiency of vitamin A, or so many other factors are there. These eggs of these reptiles, or particularly python and all kind of reptiles, they are leathery. They are not like a poultry eggs. Even sometimes we did the X-ray also, we could not appreciate their appearance. But after 2-3 months treatment, that come to the postmortem, came for the postmortem, and we could recover 18 leathery eggs from the python. Then amputation of leg in deer. Deer is very, very sensitive to the handling and capture mortality and to the anesthetic. So any kind of deer comes to you, please first stabilize the animal. Immediately don't go take any decision. Auscultate, take the temperature, see the hydration status, and then once you appreciate the auscultation, it will give you clear-cut idea about the status of that herd. If any kind of arrhythmia, don't touch to any fluid. Then after 2-3 days, once the animal is stabilized, then you can take decision for operation and all any kind of procedure. So in this case, we have successfully amputated, and surprisingly after operation, that deer, she was female and got aborted. We didn't know she was pregnant or not. But giving xylazine and ketamine, xylazine should not be given more than 40 mg total dose in case of deer. Ketamine you can give 5 to 7 mg per kg body weight. So this was very nice experience, and a very rare surgery successfully done. And we could that RFO also appreciated our efforts to done the successful operation in deer. These were our team. Dr. Komulwar, he was also surgeon. So many people they might be knowing. Then therapeutic management of sick olive ridley turtle, 37 kg turtle. While putting the IV, we were very happy because injection like UG student, putting is a very pleasant moment. Then colic in elephant, those who are expert in treating the horse, they can very well treat the elephant also because physiology is somewhat similar. So while treating this colic, These are the patients from Tamil Nadu, Padavedu in Vellore district. This is the Puttaparthi Sai Baba Trust, Simandra. These elephants were suffering from the colic. The colic treatment is similar like a horse. So first identify the cause, whether it is dietary or toxemia or septicemia due to bacterial intoxication or endotoxemia or toxemia. So based on that, we can treat, use fluid therapy, 20 to 30 liter fluid therapy, give some analgesic and some purgatives. Like that, similar like a horse, we have to manage the colic. So it is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent that survives. It is the one that is the most adaptive to the change by Darwin. So respect and understand the wild animals. So one on this earth, there is enough to satisfy the need of all, but not enough to satisfy the greed of someone. It is said by our Rashtrapita Mahatma Gandhi. Thanks for your patience.